Hi, everyone. Jane Applegath here, founder of the Epic Vision Zone, where we say it's your life, your story. Make it epic. Each show, we offer you an inspiring person or message to bring you closer to living your epic life now. Thank you for being here. You can listen to the audio version on your favorite app or watch it on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Andrea Bolder wrote, "Money at its very essence is energy, and all energy can be attracted or repelled." Hugh Massie is the executive chairman and founder of DNA Behavior International, the behavior and money insights company. He recognizes that to make quantum leaps in life and thrive in a digital world, there is nothing more important than the health and wellness of your heart and brain. Hugh is often referred to as a reformed accountant, money energy pioneer, high-stakes decision orchestrator, serial entrepreneur, boys without fathers mentor, award-winning author, devoted father, and golfer. He is most known as a behavioral solutions architect who self-empowers people globally with increased behavior and money consciousness to help them unlock exponential growth. The results: over 2 million have experienced reduced stress, greater happiness, more success, and greater long-term health. Drawing on over 4,000 scientifically measured behavior and money insights and 40 years of diverse international business experience, plus building on a deep understanding of life energies, Hugh helps people develop the exponential 109 growth mindset for unleashing their money energy potential. This enables individuals to quantum leap in their business and in their life by helping them leverage their authentic identity and unlocking the congestion caused by 3 dimensions of money. Hugh has authored the following books: Mastering Your Money Energy, Financial DNA, Leadership Behavior. Thank you so much for being here, Hugh. Welcome to the Epic Vision Zone.
Thank you, Jane. It's great to be with you and looking forward to an epic conversation.
Likewise. I love this topic. I am fascinated by your work. So let's delve right in. Give us an idea. What inspired you to do the work that you do today?
Well, I've got to say it wasn't planned. As a little boy, I always had a dream of having a global business, and if I'm being really vulnerable, I used to play with my Lego and my teddy bears and whatnot, and I was always plotting out having a global business. But then I sort of got to a place one day, when I was about 30 years old, and thinking, okay, how am I going to do that? How do I bring the dream to reality? Because it kept coming up, and people are asking me questions like, Hugh, what are you really passionate about? And at that time, I'd just come off being a CPA, or you probably say in Canada, a chartered accountant. That's what we call them in Australia. And I'd launched an entrepreneurial career, but I hadn't yet found the real thing. And I went on that self-discovery journey. And that's, that's how all of this started. And it really came from, I think, early in life, I always thought big. But then it's a question, as I was saying before, how do you do it? And then I realized that, okay, I've got to think big, got to have a big dream, big vision. But then as far as doing it, I always say to people, start small and then finish big. I see others trying to run out the gates with something big and start big, and then they fall flat on their face straight away. That doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. But go ahead.
Yeah, and it can't just be for money. I think that it's got to be purpose-driven. And Jane, I think that's really sort of part of the secret success in life, is that if what you're doing is only about money, and that's your measurement of success, then you're going to fail. You may not always fail in business, but you're going to fail probably in life. It's going to put you on the wrong foundation from the outset. And so I believe it's got to be identity driven and purpose driven, and that's where you find your success formula. formula.
Yes, thank you, Hugh. Those are very profound words, and I completely agree. I do believe that we are all here to serve, and our gifts
Yeah.
are here to serve those that seek them, and vice versa. So, absolutely, because once we tap into that, that's when the attraction begins, and that's when the money begins to flow. But thank you for sharing that, because I do dream big as well. And you're absolutely right. But they say if your dream isn't big enough, it doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough. But so I love that you started out dreaming really big. So we'll delve into some of that as we get going here. So, that being the case, then, what has been the key factor in your business success?
So for me, I think it is having the big dream. It's being prepared to be courageous at times and make, what I call quantum leap shifts. To back myself to some degree on instinct, but of course not be stupid. But I've also got to understand that sometimes these things come from within. They come from a dream. You've got a feeling. You've met the right people. I think all of those things, though, all those things are important. But overarching all of that, and what I think helps bring in the success, brings in the connections, and unlocks you to do something big, Jane, is you've got to have a massive transformational purpose, and you've got to be very clear about that, what that is, and stick to it, and then have some goals that come from having that, and a moonshot goal that comes out of you having that massive transformational purpose, or a number of moonshot goals. So that's really important, because there's going to be a lot of days and times when things don't work, and you got to have a very deep passion and keep pulling yourself out of bed and go at it, and be prepared to reinvent your business plan or the way you're doing things, but never lose sight of what that calling and what that goal is. And that's absolutely vital.
Right. I completely agree. I am all about having that vision, and the
Yep.
vision becomes your roadmap. So, like you said, there'll be times and things can change, and life does change, and situations shift. But if you have that vision and you know that that's exactly where you need to go, then that creates your purpose. That creates the momentum. How you get
Yeah.
there could weave and dip and turn and get upside down even. But if you wake up the next day and you say, okay, that was yesterday, this is today. I'm grateful for what I have in front of me, and I'm going to put the next step in front of me to get to that vision. So, absolutely, yes. I always say that having a vision is not about wishful thinking, but it's determined manifestation. And so, I
Right. And I
really,
think yeah, and I think the one thing, Jane, that I knew early on, and this is for the benefit of the listeners, and particularly those who are going to go down an entrepreneurial career path, and being an entrepreneur isn't for everybody.
right.
And we've done, in our DNA business, in the behavioral sciences business, we've done a lot of measurement of this. But I knew I had this piece of the secret that, or the talent that's needed, is resilience, and
Mm,
that's actually a talent that can be measured, and we've all got different doses of it, and prepare and able to probably withstand different levels of pressure.
mhm.
But you've got to have enough of that, I think, if you want to be an entrepreneur and to be able to stick out the journey, so long as you've got the underlying passion and that purpose. That's got to be there
Ab-
too.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's the feeling. That the passion is the energy. That's the like I say, energy in motion. the emotion behind it. And that's what's going to continue to propel you forward. So, yes, thank you so much for that insight. So, having that, like you said, purpose, that vision is one of the key factors. And don't be afraid if things change, because life does, but bringing it full circle. Now, we have a question here about exponential mindset. I'm fascinated. Why is having an exponential mindset important for life and business? And give us a little insight into what you actually mean by that.
Yeah, and you started to allude to it before. I think it's around the big dream, but and I know you're probably going to ask me about this as well, but people get held back from having self-limiting beliefs, and I think the exponential mindset's the other side of that is 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 to have a mindset that you can have essentially unlimited growth and unlimited potential. And, when I started DNA behavior, I thought, okay, if I impacted a million people a year, that would be great.
Yeah.
But as I unlocked myself, unlocked the plan, and technologies have also moved in our favor now with artificial intelligence and the ability to do so much more than we could before. That number is now a billion, right? So,
Mm.
for my mindset is about, I've laid out the goal that we want to be able to help a billion people a year be more
Mm.
informed in their decision making by knowing their talents and their financial behaviors. But
Right.
I've laid that out, but we can actually do it. We've actually got the platform that's doing that now. But if I hadn't have laid
Right.
out that kind of exponential thinking, we wouldn't have designed the plan to do it. And that's really what I'm
Exactly.
getting at. So you've got to think, in a way, it's about thinking beyond yourself, and it's going, to, building a dream, and we're putting down a dream, your dreams, and putting it into a plan that's just way bigger than where you are now, and
Mm-hmm.
saying, what do I need to do? And what convergence of things needs to happen to enable me to do it? And then that
Right.
changes your thinking about things. And, I don't want to say, hey, presto, just magic just happens, because no one's really an overnight success. But by me changing the goal, we thought about the problem differently in terms of how we serve
Mm.
people, what technologies we needed, but all the pieces were there. And 20 years of work now culminates in being able to do that.
Right.
But that's because I changed my mindset, but also the mindset of my team.
Yes, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. Having that advent of technology today, and of course, it's expanding exponentially every week.
Yeah.
In fact, it's going to get, well. It is. I work with some individuals who are into all of the tech revolution, so to speak. And yeah, it would blow our minds if we knew half of what's already out there. We just need
So
to
it is
catch up with
changing.
it.
It sort of is changing weekly, but I would say that you've got to be doing a quarterly review. But
Hmm.
nothing's off the table right now.
Oh.
And I remember in 2001 talking to somebody in Hong Kong saying, "Watch out! One day you're going to be wearing a watch that's going to measure all of your biometrics, have know everything about your life, or be able to help you see every aspect of your life." Now, it's in 2001, and there was nothing like that there in existence then, but it is now. I mean,
Yes.
I'm wearing the devices that are essentially doing that for me. Now, I don't know where that thought came from, but that came, and it was in a conversation. Now, I didn't
Hmm.
go down the path of biometrics and longevity in that way, although I do speak to a lot of people about it, because longevity has a lot of implications for how people deal with money, uh, because we're all going to live longer.
Yep.
And, we're working on a solution with a business partner on that right now. And so I think that's the exponential thinking. And today with technology, I think any thought that hits our heads is really off the table. That it all can be done. It's just a matter of how quickly.
Exactly. Yes, it
And you
is
want to be in the
exciting
game
times.
doing
Yeah,
or doing
exactly.
something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%. I love this. It's don't limit your limitlessness,
Yep.
because that's what we tend to do. So, that being said, what is the key factor, and you may have touched on this, that holds people back in life and business? Do you think it's fear? Is it more of an emotional, a mindset? What do you feel that gets us stuck the
I
most?
think it's absolutely fear,
Mm.
and it's a fear that I haven't got the capability to do something. I haven't got the skills or talents. Um, it's a fear. It's a fear of then comes around money as well. Have I got the money to do it? Um, am I good enough? So there's emotional
Mm.
fears, there's skills related fears, there's probably financial fears, and they're all wrapped up together. And that's where the self limiting beliefs come from. Now, there are realities. I think in some cases there are some things that I'm not going to become a brain surgeon, right? But that doesn't mean I can't find, through my purpose or massive transformational purpose, I can't find my place
Right.
to do something in the
Absolutely.
medical arena. My
Mm.
brother is a doctor, and in respiratory medicine for kids. I'm not medically
Mm.
trained, but I've got to understand a lot about biometrics and what causes issues in life. So I'm playing my role in people's longevity in a different place.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Finding your place. And that's because as we grow older, Hugh, I've noticed that, you get caught up in life, you have responsibilities, you have family, you have a
Yeah.
job, because you've had to pay the bills. And then a time comes when maybe you've got the space or the time, and someone says, like you asked, what's your vision? What's your big dream? What do you want to do? And we haven't been asked that question for decades, and
Yep.
you just kind of get like, I don't know. Nobody's asked me that question. So it's interesting because we're now in an era where things are possible. So many more things are possible. And because we have the advent of, like, we're right here talking. You're in Atlanta. I'm in Arizona. Like you said, you speak with people in China. I've spoken with people all over the globe as well. I mean, we've got so much more technology that's able to provide us with the possibilities and the opportunities that are out there. So yes, we do have that capability to think bigger. It's just giving
Yeah, and
ourselves
and I
that
think
chance.
what I'd say with that, Jane, is that one thing I believe in is energy forces and
Mm.
seasons in life. And sometimes we are, while I believe in self will, we're also driven a little bit by the circumstances that we're in, by nature. And so not everybody's going to be successful at 20 years old and unlock all their potential at that age, like Mark Zuckerberg did. But others might start doing it when they're 60. But nothing's off the table. You don't have to. Gone are the days, certainly in this world, where you say, okay, somebody's 60 years old and therefore they can't do something, right?
Mm.
There's still plenty of time left. That's the great thing also about longevity. It gives you more time to go, if you're healthy and you've got the right mindset, to still go and have major impact. But I think uh, so it's not putting any beliefs up about time, but there is a right time for all of us, if that makes sense. So there
Yes,
are going to be patches in your
absolutely.
life where that thinking is just not going to happen, right? As matter as how hard you try. You might have the ideas, but they're not going to unleash themselves. But there's another time in your life where it all unleashes. The key
Right.
is to always be
Yes,
thinking, dreaming, and being out there, and eventually these things unfold.
exactly. The alignment comes in 100%. Well, speaking of that, what are the quantum laws of money energy? You just touched a little bit on energy, but I am really fascinated by this. So let's delve into that.
Yeah. So when I was doing the work on the meaning of money and people's relationship to money a couple of years ago, and I'd always talked about the fact that money has an energy, and how much energy does it have? Well, I sort of aligned it to Albert Einstein's um, you know uh, energy formula, and in a way which is a quantum maths type formula. There is no real ceiling to how much we can have, but it is also based around the person that you are. There's no limit in the context of the person that you are. And it's about how do you integrate money into your life. And what the quantum laws of money are, it breaks down the formula that we have in the Money Energy booklet. And you can go and download that off our website. That takes you through 40 steps that you need to pull together or to work on to unleash the maximum amount of money energy that's going to come in your life. Now, that may not always translate for everybody into $1 billion or billions of dollars, but there is unlimited potential for each of us. But it is also talking about aligning, for example, your health, right? Nothing good is going to happen if you don't have good health, right? Your life's going to get cut short. What's the point of being Steve Jobs? Okay, he did a wonderful job in building Apple, and we've all got the benefits of it today if you use the Apple products. I happen to use Samsung, but I think that what he did, it's massive. But he died at 56 years old. Do you want to be that? So looking after your health is something that's really important. Looking after your relationships. What's the point of being wealthy and then handing half of it back into divorce and living with all the misery and everything that goes on around that, and the fractured relationships that you have for the rest of your life? And that can close doors too. And so, and what opens doors is getting your purpose right and building the right relationships with people that are going to come and flow from that. And I found that the closer I've got to my purpose, my calling, and specific about that, it's amazing what doors open up, and when they open up, and how they open up. And so there are 40 laws really of living, if you want to call it that you need to get in touch with if you're going to be successful. But all of them, one of the key points of it is all of them are an investment in some way. They're not all an investment of necessarily money in terms of writing out a check or doing a Venmo transaction, but they are an investment in some ways in your life to get your life totally aligned in all aspects.
Right. Yes. Because you are investing in yourself. I mean, that's really
Correct.
what it is. Because if your health isn't there, if your relationship is broken, if you're working a career that it doesn't resonate with you, all of those are part and parcel of the energy you are emitting, and that energy doesn't attract and it's not necessarily, I like to say it's abundance, because if you're
Yep.
abundant in life, you're abundant in your relationship, if you're abundant in your purpose, you are going to attract all of those things, because
Yeah, and I
as
think
you
it is.
believe
It is. Yeah,
go
it is
ahead.
abundance. I think that's one word that wraps it all up. And
Right.
abundance is a mindset. And
Yes.
you can have a scarcity mindset, which is based on fear, or a poverty mindset, or you can have an abundance mindset. And having an abundance mindset, that's important. But then it's not just saying, well, I'm abundant. It's actually doing all of the things and being
Yes.
completely authentic in that. And guess what? For me, that for people, that starts with getting your identity right and living that
Mm.
identity authentically all day long. And I think that's where a lot of people fall down in this, is that they think they're abundant, but they're actually not, because the way they handle other people, the way they manage things. Your identity is the ultimate level that you're going to hold yourself accountable to for yourself and for the rest of the world.
Yes, absolutely. Who you are. And you will
Correct.
know when you feel abundant because you will feel it. It's a feeling of richness,
Yep.
of energy. I mean, it levels up your energy, which is the emotions. And so, yes, absolutely, I agree with you. Well, now we're talking about energy and how do we energize then our life and money for long-term happiness, success, and health? Is it all part and parcel of this abundance and understanding that we are? Well, I say that we are both the magnetism and the electrical signal going out to attract things to us. So, energizing your life. Is there anything more that you would like to put into what we've just spoken about?
I think, Jane, you've captured it pretty well. I think that the maximum energy is going to come when you've got your identity right. I think that's really the foundational starting point, and then in a day in day out basis, you're living that, then you're going to
Mm,
attract things in. I think things like sleep become important in that you get enough sleep because that affects your energy and being able to function properly, your cognitive ability, the longevity of your life. But also the other element of sleep is, in a way, as I always say, money doesn't sleep. Now, I used to joke about that to people when I was younger. Well, invest your money, put it into the right things, and you'll sort of become the millionaire next door. Wealth will come. That is somewhat true. When in fact it is very true, but in a financial sense. But it's also the thoughts that you take to bed, because your
oh,
brain, the
yes.
subconscious part of your brain, is always working. And if you take negative thoughts about money or negative situational thoughts to bed, you're going to wake up with them, and
Hmm.
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
In somewhat,
Yeah.
you bring those things into your life, and um, that's problematic. And so that's where you know your energy management is so important in terms of your mindset in
Yes.
your waking
Absolutely.
conscious life and in your unconscious life when you're asleep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. That certainly. I thank you so much for sharing that. That going to bed and your thoughts, because yes, we need to be cognizant or conscious. Really, awareness is key to a lot of. I always say, live it till you believe it, and just
Yep.
every moment, of every day, just sit back and say, okay, is that serving me? Is that something that I want to? That is up leveling my life or feeding my energy or keeping my mindset in a good space. But absolutely, yes, thank you for that. So financial behavior, how does a leader's financial behavior impact the organization that they lead?
Well, and this is an area that is very dear to my heart right now, and we've been doing a lot of work on this. But the CEO of a company, directly or indirectly, influences everything that happens in the company culture. Um, the key decisions that get made, the company direction, and his or her money mindset is going to be part of every decision
Mhm.
that he or she makes, the energy that he or she gives off in the business, and then every policy and procedure that the company has. And I think when you look at companies that fail, there's been some pretty poor financial decision making going on, and the
Mhm.
CEO's hands are directly or indirectly all over it. And I'm not talking about petty payroll fraud or anything like that, although that probably comes from the CEO's energy too, because somebody feels upset about a situation or not being recognised or whatever. But there are criminals, so put aside that. But pretty well everything else that happens in the company is coming from the CEO and then the leadership team's energy. But the leadership team is picking that up off the CEO.
Right.
And if you break that down, it's spending habits inside the company. And if too much money is being spent on the wrong things, that chokes the company. And it's also how a company innovates and how it's going to invest in innovation, how it creates products that are market leaders with a high gross margin, for example. Having plenty of products, they're all key financial decisions, but they're also metrics that you can measure the
Mm-hmm.
success of a company. And so you can align that back to the CEO's style and the people that he or she has picked to be around them as the senior leaders. And then it breeds into the culture of the company. And so, a good company would have the right incentive plans all the way down to the bottom, grassroots, production related employees, where they should all be on board for achieving a common set of goals.
Right.
And so this is quite structural. But I think that there's a lot of leadership training going on out there, and talking about emotional intelligence and things like that, which we've done all that work at DNA Behavior. I've written a book, the Leadership Behavior DNA book, about that, which is all very important, right? If you have the wrong, levels of psychological safety in the business, poor levels of psychological safety and engagement, that doesn't help your business. But that usually gets crushed by the wrong financial behaviors. And just look at
Yeah.
Boeing. For anybody right now that wants to really understand this, go and listen to the watch the Netflix movie about Boeing. And there's a great company that's been destroyed by the financial behavior of its leadership.
Yeah. Yeah, it all flows down from the top. There's no question about it. There's no question. But
It
that being the case,
absolutely,
then,
yeah,
yeah, it all flows from the top. Yeah. When you have disgruntled employees, it doesn't matter if you're in a company as big as Boeing or in a restaurant in the service industry. You can usually tell if the leadership is working, because the employees are either happy or they're very disgruntled and angry. And it doesn't serve the corporation, it doesn't serve the customers, it doesn't serve the employees either. So yes, it flows down from the top. But that being the case, then, Hugh, how do you help individuals and groups improve their decision making?
well, our approach to it is that every person goes through psychometric measurement of who they are. So we've built proprietary psychometric systems to uncover pretty quickly, within 10 minutes, of what each person's innate, hardwired behavioral style is, how they make decisions under pressure. Both from we address that from a talent perspective, but we also address it from a financial behavior perspective. So that's our starting point, is getting people to understand who they are, how they are wired to make decisions, what their biases are. And while that process takes about 10 minutes online, that's the mainline exercise we have that gets you to a 97% accuracy level of scientific measurement. We've built systems now where we can do it quicker than that, to give you a sort of a more approximated idea at 75 to 80%, by answering just a few of the questions. Or in fact, we can use artificial intelligence to do this now as well. That's the game changing thing that we've done. Again, back to exponential thinking. We've used AI that can answer our questionnaire about any person, actually. But I would say, but that is the thing, is that we are measuring the behavior. And if you don't use measurement, then everything stays invisible and people don't know, and they'll keep on the same wrong path, if you want to call it that. Measurement sort of brings visibility and helps awareness, and it tells you where you
Mm,
are in relation to everybody else. And that's the reason to do it. Otherwise, it's just a guessing game.
yes.
And you then
How?
get
Yeah.
a leadership team in a room together, and the strongest person's voice in the room is going to prevail, right? And everybody else is going to nod. Okay, I'll just agree. Or you've got we do a lot of work with financial planners and families or individual investors. If you don't go through this type of exercise and, in a way, democratize the situation or level the playing pitch, the planner is just going to say, well, my opinion is, my advice on all my experience is, Mr. or Mrs. Client, you should do X in your situation. But does the planner really know who the client is, or actually really know the client's situation? A lot of the time, no. It's actually what he or she wants to happen based on their biases.
Right.
And that doesn't help decision making.
No, not at all. Well, that being said, it's fascinating. I love that it brings the awareness to the individual and to the person who is serving them. Once you have this behavioral breakdown, and let's say it brings awareness not only to the good, but possibly the bad. I know your behaviors can change. Do you train individuals in that area as well to help them understand that these behaviors are, emitting, they're not serving you, but they can be switched or changed over time into something more positive?
So what we always do is, Jane, is that we show people what their natural hardwired strengths are, and coming from the strengths, or the strengths overplayed, are the struggles. So what we want to do is get a person to understand and accept all of those, and then what are the strengths that they need to use in the particular situations they might operate and live in. That's where the training comes in, and to manage the struggles. We're not about changing a person outright from who they are to be something that they're not. It's more about understanding, these are my strengths, this is how to capitalize on them, but to also ensure that they're not overplayed in the wrong situation and cause a struggle. If you take, in a simple term example, a person might be very outgoing, they might be very communicative, so they're great at presenting. That might be a way in which they, in fact, earn money. But also at times, loose lips sink ships, or they say things they don't mean. But we're not saying to them, don't not communicate. Just manage your communication. Right? Take that gift and make the strength better, but don't allow it to blow you up in the wrong situation. Or if you're a risk taker, okay, it's great to take risks. That can advance your life forward, but you've got to be calculated to some degree with that. And if you can see how to do that and manage that, that's then the behavioral management. And that's really what the training is about. So you become aware of how to use those strengths, but also that they don't, get you into trouble at the wrong time. You understand the impact on another person. And you want,
right.
If you're in a marital relationship, for example, and we're talking, about this, is to understand why each of you are different and celebrate those differences. It's the same in a team.
Yeah. Oh, very important in a team. Absolutely. And then, of course, that brings some insight to other team members as to, oh, now I understand why this person reacted that way. Or now I understand, how I can communicate better with this individual, because this is where they understand more. So yes, I could see where it could be very valuable in every situation, even, as an entrepreneur. This is why I've been holding back, because this is where my my ingrained behavior. And maybe next time I'm doing that, I'm become aware of what I'm doing and just stop and say, okay, is this again serving me? So yeah, I could see that tool would be really good.
Yeah, and I think it's all about helping you. It's all about, again, if we sort of take an exponential mindset, then if you understand your behavior, then you can start to see, okay, for me or for you, this is the pathway to get there. But it's not saying that you can't get there. It's more, what's the pathway you're going to take, and who you're going to take that, who you're going to go on the path with.
Yes, absolutely. I could see the value so much so much insight and value into that. So then why are money conversations so difficult and how can we improve them? Because that's a very touchy topic. I used to be in the financial industry and they often say blood is thicker than water, but I say money is thicker than water when you're dealing with people's money. But
Well,
yes,
money is
how do we
very,
go ahead?
yeah, money is very touchy. We're all brought up with different belief systems about it. I think a lot of people feel judged by money, and even for some people that have got a lot of money, they feel like they're a prisoner to it. There's a great book written many years ago by a lady called Jessie O'Neill called, The Golden Ghetto. And she was an inheritor, and she talks about the stories of that she felt like she was in a golden ghetto. And people who don't have it feel they're a prisoner of it because they haven't got life freedom. So money brings up so many different things, emotions, and I think going back to something we talked about earlier, and this is very relevant for entrepreneurs, but also I think for executives, is people feel their success in life is defined by how much money they have. So in some ways, people don't
Oh,
want to talk about
yes.
it because they feel they're going to be looked upon as lesser than somebody else. And and so the way to have a money conversation is actually to not talk about money itself at the start. And I know there's a lot of financial planners out there that ask their clients pretty much up front, what does money mean to you and why is it important and what are you going to do with the money? And we've got very deep into a goals conversation about money far too quickly. Where I think if we step back and we start talking about the people in the room, the clients, as humans, and what's my purpose, what's my
Mhm.
dreams, what's my identity, what are my passions, and get those things sorted out. Where do I see my life journey going? What are my desires? That's not a bad word to use because goals, a lot of people have a lot of trouble with the word goals. If you get those things sorted out and defined, the money piece then becomes a lot easier to address. It's not saying that you don't ever talk about money, because at the end of the day, it's a reality of life. It has got to be addressed, but it's
Mhm.
not the first part of the conversation. And you take people
Yes.
off track straight away. They'll shut down. They'll be emotional. Walk out of the room. Whatever's going to go on. Don't or people are prepared to have it, but they're going to put up walls and not tell you everything. And that's another problem. And that's why, when
Yeah.
I had my wealth management business in Australia, Jane, and, I had become an entrepreneur and I started to figure out that, if I was going to serve my clients well, I really needed to know who they were as a person. That's when I really brought in the psychometric assessment as part of understanding somebody's life journey to get them talking about that. And guess what? The money conversation just unfolded. I didn't need to do much. It's just a matter
Right.
of trusting in the process, and
Exactly.
and I think that's where the financial services industry has a problem, because a lot of the advisors don't actually trust the process, and they're more thinking
Yeah.
about the product sale rather than the client relationship part. And if you do the client relationship part well, the money will come.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. The humanness of who we are, that in and especially in a lot of different cultures, we get judged by the stuff that money
Yep.
buys, that the
Yeah,
status
and people are
symbol.
making those. Yeah, and people are making those assessments all the time. People are saying, "Oh, I want to move into that neighborhood because I'm going
Hmm.
to be around these types of people," and then they get disappointed when they realize they're not the wealthiest person in there. There's always someone who's got more money than you. There's always somebody who's got more toys than you have, whether it's cars, boats, second homes, going on holidays, watches, whatever. But are they happier? Are they going to live a better life? Most of the time, not.
No. No. In fact,
And you
I've
don't know what
interviewed
misery
some
they're
that,
going through.
yeah, and I've interviewed some that have been there and, they've become enlightened, so to speak, but they had it all. And they said,
Yep.
I was unhappy. I wasn't,
Yeah.
but that's the light bulb went on finally because I guess we try to buy our happiness sometimes, and it's not until we do all the things that we thought would make us happy and buy all the stuff that we thought would make us happy and get the relationships, etc., and then it's like, well, that's not working. What's the next solution? Exactly.
It's like
But I
I
agree
was
with
doing a
you.
podcast. Yeah, I was doing a podcast last week, just like this, and somebody asked me, "What's the worst money decision you ever made?" And I said, "Well, I always had a dream as a kid that I wanted a Mercedes Benz by the time I was 30. Now I went and got a Saab convertible when I was 30, but when I was 34 or 33, I went and got a Mercedes convertible. But you know what? It was the most empty experience I ever had.
Mm,
The car,
interesting.
after 3 months, this was I knew this was serving me no purpose whatsoever, and why and the earth had I done that? I could afford it,
Yeah.
but it wasn't an issue of affordability. It was just it, I had got it for all the wrong reasons.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's comes full circle, right? Because you realize that that doesn't, but I understand that you had that dream. And so when you did get it, it's like, well, no, that's not it. But it sometimes we have to just do that and remind ourselves that, okay, well, I did it and I found out that that's not who I am. But moving on, and thank you for all that insight, Hugh. That's exactly, how you get people to trust you as you build a relationship, and that's really what dealing with people, their finances, their what, it doesn't matter what your services you're providing or the business or the product that you're selling. It's really about trust and building a
It
relationship
is.
with your clients, with whoever it is that you're dealing with. And so once people understand that they can trust you, that you understand them and they understand you, like you said, in your situation, the money just flows because it's something that they say, okay, I know who you are, you understand who I am, I trust that you will do what's best for me as far
Yep.
as your expertise is concerned. So yeah, there is such an interesting psychological bent to what you just said, and I really appreciate that. So now tell us why mentoring boys without fathers is so important to you. I'm really interested.
Well, I was a boy without a father, and my father
Mm,
died when I was one. And as I went along my life journey, I realized I came to see that had some very traumatic effects. And firstly, I discovered some of them, the impacts when my mother wrote. My mother is still alive; she's 93, but she wrote a book. She's written a book about her life, and there were snippets in there where I could see, okay, this is some of the impacts. So she was aware of it, even if she didn't directly communicate them all to me. But a couple of years ago, I was doing podcasts like this with some of our clients around identity. We're sort of doing identity conversations, and I take people right back to the start of their life. Happened that 6 in a row were with men, and I knew some of them quite well who didn't have a father early in
mm,
their life. And one of them had done had got a doctorate in this and had studied the impacts. And there's been some government research as well that shows what the impacts are from literacy, aggression, social backwardness, confidence, a whole range of things that manifest themselves into things that may not be so good. It's more likely to commit a crime, this type of thing, and have other troubles if you don't help these kids when they're younger. And I always knew when I switched out of accounting to more of a human behavior path that I wanted to help youths get mentored, get put on the right path, if you want to call it that, from earlier in life,
Mm.
because I didn't have that. I
Mm.
did have a stepfather when I was about 18, 17. My mother remarried, and he helped me a lot with things, in terms of introducing me to opportunities perhaps that I would not have had otherwise. Not that my mother didn't, she did the best that anyone could have ever done, right, in upbringing. But there's things that you just get from having a father. So I sort of look at all of that and thought, yeah, this is why I need to pursue this. And so the group of us formed the charity Boys Without Fathers. We're actively out there, training other men who did not have a father to be men of influence to help other kids, so that we can, get more people on the right track. And I think it's, at the end of the day, okay, some people have asked me, what about girls? Yep. Girls have issues when they don't have a father, like they have issues when they don't have a mother. And the same with a boy didn't have a mother, or you're an orphan. But the story that
Mm.
I know is around boys. And it happens to be that there are some very large societal issues for the boy without a father. And that's why I'm concentrating on that. But it by no means means that the girls are ignored. And in fact, the mothers shouldn't be ignored as well, because they're part of this journey and a part of the dynamics and how we bring all that together as well. I am addressing that.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's beautiful work. And I could see that it speaks to your heart. And, it's an area that you're familiar with. And like you said, you've got this group together and you can relate to the boys because you have walked in their shoes. So yes, that is fabulous. Mentoring
To the
children, no
boys and
matter
to the
what.
men, but also to many women as well, that, are the courageous mothers that have got to bring these boys up.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's I'm sure your mom had some great stories. For sure. I know some single moms and they tell me amazing stories.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that would be a whole nother podcast. Let's face
That is
it.
a whole podcast in its own right. Yeah.
Exactly, absolutely. So, what excites you, Hugh, about the future?
Well, I think that the future, is the endless possibilities that are out there. I think for me, even though I'm in my the later part of my 50s, I've sort of put it out there. I'll live till I'm 120. There's so much more to be done, and I'm really, in a way, only just getting started. And I think with technology, there's so much now that can be done in so many
Right.
areas to improve the human condition, and we've all got a role to play in it, and each of us are going to do that differently, based on, who we are, our calling, our skills, capabilities, whatever. But I think that's really what excites me about the future, is that the possibilities are endless. And
Right.
I'll be interested to see what I say to you in a few years' time, because I just think with longevity, artificial intelligence,
Mm.
there's so much that's going to unlock itself. But the core issues are still there, about putting food on the table, dealing with money itself, mental health. They're all issues that have been around a long time, from generation to generation, not been solved, but they're going to get solved.
Yeah. Understanding who you are. It's a
Yep.
journey.
It is a
It's a
journey.
journey. And we're always growing. I mean, curiosity is one of the key things to keep us alive and thriving. Like you said, I agree
Yep.
100% that today you don't, in the days of your 60, where you were like, you throw in the towel and that's it. And it's like, yeah, but why do you give up on life? I mean, I never want to stop learning. I never want to stop, um, you know, interviewing individuals with some fabulous information. I am so curious about everything. If I didn't have that, I that's when you just start to die. I think you just start to, there's nothing to wake up for. There's nothing to learn. There's nothing to excite you. Curiosity is something that we,
Yep.
as humans, it's a core of developing our ability to learn and to gather knowledge and to become wise. And the
And
wisdom
that's
often comes with age.
and that's why retirement's got to be managed so carefully, and what your attitude to retirement
Yeah.
is. It's got to be
Yeah.
managed so carefully. And this is really going to become, dealing with retirement is going to become one of the mega trend areas if it hasn't
Yep.
already.
Oh, yeah. And like I say, that word's not even my vocabulary, retirement. And more, like, I
No,
agree with you, more and more people are, we're not stopping at 60. We're just getting started. This is just another chapter.
correct. Yep.
There's no ending. There's just beginnings.
Yep.
It's just another beginning. Yeah, that's
Yep.
what I like to say.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Well, Hugh, tell our audience where they can find you, your books, and the courses. And you mentioned that one of the, you can go on there and get some information for free. So just share that with our audience, and we'll have that all available on the bio
So,
pages too.
yes, so everything you want to find about what I talk about, what I say, do, offer is at dnabehavior.com. So just go there, and particularly if you're interested in the money energy part, you can download the ebook there, as an ebook on about money energy. But there's plenty of other resources as well, and then there's the other books, financial DNA and leadership behavior DNA that are there. So wherever you are in the journey of life and what you want to do, we've got something there for you that's useful to read and to grow. And you can
Wonderful.
also do
Well,
the DNA assessments there as well.
oh, wonderful. I'll have to check that out. I'd really love
Yeah.
to look at that and find out all the strengths or the assessment that it comes up with. So, because we're here on the Epic Vision Zone, Hugh, I have one last question for you. If your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
So as of today, it would be do not be the victim, be the victor.
Oh, be the victor, is what you said,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Be the
okay.
victim. Yeah. Do not be the
Ah,
victim. Do not be a victim of your circumstances or your beliefs. Be the victor.
be the victor. Yes, I love that. Yeah, I thought I heard do not be the victim, be the victim. And I was like, what?
No, 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 not the victim.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No, no victim mentality allowed.
No, I'm with you there. I was just like, maybe there's some hidden meaning to what he just said. So I would thought, anyway, I love that title. Do not be the victim, be the victor. Absolutely,
Yep.
100%. Well, once again, thank you, Hugh, for joining us here today. And for information and to connect with you, you can go to the Epic Vision Zone bio pages, where you will find all of his social media and direct contact information. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath. And don't forget to connect with me at janeapplegath.com, where you can access your free downloads, Creative Power, and Vision Play Sheet. Sending you so much love and gratitude. This is the Epic Vision Zone, transforming your dreams into epic success.